the presidential debate is coming tomorrow. We were saying
Okay,
that
I
there's
guess I'm going to
gonna,
have to, for the sake of our listeners, I'm going to have to subject myself to that.
yeah.
It may be entertaining. I'm sure it will
uh,
be in some ways.
yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I need. I have my buddy TJ's coming over tomorrow, Thursday. I'm gonna wait for him before we watch it. I think we're gonna try to make a drinking game out of it. Something we got to have something when Biden freezes up. Got to take a shot, something
Okay.
like that. We'll figure it out. But yeah, do we feel like there's been, we still have that prediction that I've been kind of just watching very closely like a hawk if Israel's going to make a move.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the latest indications are that they're still moving in that direction, right? They're apparently the reports are moving troops, up to the northern border. Just I believe it was just today, or maybe it was yesterday, that Canada advised its citizens to leave Lebanon as soon as possible. Um, None of that is proof that it's going to happen, but it's clear that a lot of people are expecting it to happen. And then the UN Secretary General was kind of raised the alarm too yesterday. So yeah, we seem to. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be soon. Maybe something there will be a last minute event that pulls us back from the brink, or or but I wouldn't bet on it.
and, we were talking about the potential of a tactical nuclear weapon being used. And we kind of walked through that whole scenario at the end of the last podcast. And that's another thing that kind of got me scared because the more we talked through it, the more I felt like that the probability of it happening is a lot higher than people may realize.
Yeah,
Like it
I
could
think
be a
yeah,
50-50
especially in
chance.
right, especially in Israel there, because again, Israel is a small country, and yeah, it doesn't have a deep hinterland. If things go drastically wrong, and they really could, maybe they have some great plan, they're going to be successful in defeating Hezbollah, but I wouldn't bank on it. It could go catastrophically wrong for them, and in a way that could actually threaten, the future of the Israeli state. And if that happens, I think they really would yeah, use nuclear weapons. So, we are looking at a realistic possibility of that happening sometime in the not so distant future.
What what would that mean for the world? What do you think? Would you I mean, if would Israel? Do you think will they just if you're just in the Middle East, are you need to be scared? Or I mean, like, would Israel nuke other places if things
Yeah.
get
Well, I mean,
really?
the Samson option, what I've heard is that they have, if Israel is clearly going to fall, then they're just, it's kind of the last um, nihilistic uh, gesture. They would send out bombs to various capitals in the region. And as far as Moscow, this was something I heard like 30, 40 years ago, that Moscow was one of the targets. Um, I don't think it would make it to Moscow, to be honest. I think the Russians would be ready for them. They'd have to cross a lot of territory. They don't have they don't have hypersonic missiles. They don't have ICBMs, to my knowledge. It would have to be like an F-35, and I don't think it could go that far. But a lot of places like Istanbul, I think would have
Oh my God,
no reason to fear. Yeah,
like Cairo would.
yeah, possibly Cairo too. Yes. Yeah, so maybe don't want to think about this too much, but that's the danger is that we've if Israel really starts losing, then I think we can see, the beginning of a nuclear response, and it could go from a fairly limited one, like in Lebanon, to something to a general response, which could be horrific. Again, there's no guarantee we're going to get there. Maybe even this recent ratcheting up of tensions will be resolved in some way, and we're going to, maybe Netanyahu will choose not to launch this attack. But again, it looks like there's a pretty high probability that he will. And then that just takes us into
The
this
nuclear
territory.
option.
Yeah, it just takes us a step closer to some kind of at least local Armageddon.
Well, and what I think there's also a chance if Israel goes nuclear, then the likelihood of America going nuclear will skyrocket as well. Because the U.S. We won't let Israel lose. We'll want to get involved. If it starts broadening into a wider war where Iran is getting involved, and Russia is allied with Iran and probably will be arming Iran more in response to our arming of Ukraine. It's
Hmm.
I can see, I can't see the dots exactly, but I can more or less connect them to something catastrophic. Of course, hopefully saner heads will prevail, but I have been having Armageddon type thoughts, and I know I'm not
Yeah,
the only one.
right.
After what happened over the weekend, World War III has been trending on Twitter, so there is becoming some kind of awareness that
Yeah,
things are getting a little bit scarier, heating
right.
up.
Yeah. Well, one
Yeah.
thing I was just thinking that could happen is that Israel, if they again, if they go ahead with this invasion of Lebanon and it goes very badly, they might choose to exercise the nuclear blackmail. I mean, it just maybe they'll inform the U.S. Hey, we've decided that we have to use a nuclear weapon on Lebanon, unless you choose, to put boots on the ground and actually. I could see that happening, and in that case, we might just do it. But that's going to be, also a very dangerous escalation, obviously, and not very popular back here.
Mm.
Yeah, there are all kinds of things that could happen. I mean, just once this Pandora's box of Lebanon is truly opened, all kinds of things that could happen, and really none of them are very good.
I think not enough people are watching this or are aware of it. Of Hezbollah and
Yeah.
its ability to do real damage to Israel, and Israel's sort of apocalyptic death cult mentality right now.
Hmm.
Um, it's making me think. I mean, do I need to move to Argentina or something? Do I have to go south? I actually was thinking this yesterday. I was chatting
Yeah.
with my buddy. I was like, do I need to start prepping? Do I need to buy canned goods and ammunition? Like, I just realized I need to go to Walmart and buy a gun. It's
Yeah.
like, is that an absurd notion? I mean,
Well,
if we
it's
really
clearly
think
not
that,
it's not absurd. I can't say that it's absurd. I suppose. Um,
well, when I
we're
talk
still
to
a long
you,
ways from, let's say, uh, nuclear missiles, and they would have to be Russian nuclear missiles, flying at the U.S. I I don't see that, any happening anytime soon. I don't think that we're going to get there. If it is, I think there's a real reason to be worried. Like again, if you're living in Istanbul and not too far from Israel and from the fighting that's going on there, that could go nuclear, and with horrible repercussions for the surrounding countries. Um, in Yeah, the situation in Ukraine is very scary, but I just don't see, and there is always a possibility of it going nuclear, but I don't see it. Right now it seems to me still to be a very low probability. I mean, it's high enough because any kind of nuclear conflict between Russia and NATO is terrifying. It could quite seriously, uh, lead to the end of the world.
mm, yeah, well, I'm
Which
not
is,
talking
but I
about
just don't.
like.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. So I don't. I think that still that likelihood is really very minimal. Um, so I don't think you need to move to Argentina yet. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting to see, mushroom clouds over Nashville or something like this, like but like we said, that the U.S. empire is collapsing. During that transition, it's scary. A lot of things can happen. Societal unrest, the breakdown of the dollar and the U.S. financial system, over commitments in, if we do get involved in Lebanon, or a nuke is used in Lebanon and Beirut or something like this. Maybe we won't get nuked, but it will have repercussions throughout the world. China could
Hmm.
sanction us and stop shipping us goods. We could
Uh-huh.
be there could be, it could go crazy here, and there could be a lot of just unrest and scariness in your own country without actual missiles raining down on your country or gunfire. But I'm
Yeah.
just thinking that there is a
Right.
chance of societal
Yeah.
breakdown in the United States,
Well, yeah,
or
there
if just
certainly
if
is. I
Trump
mean,
gets
there.
elected, there's going to be
Right.
a societal breakdown. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, no, I think actually, when talking about the U.S., probably it's domestic factors that are going to be decisive. I mean, certainly the the effects of the decline of the American empire are significant and can be very significant. We've talked about that, the decline of the dollar. That's going to have real consequences in the U.S. and it's going to, I think, reduce the power of the federal government. It's always been able to print dollars to solve all its problems. At some point, it won't be able to do that anymore, and that's going to change everything. And I think that, yeah, there will be um, real divisions, or instability will result. And I'm not even going to try to predict how that's all going to play out. Um, yeah, but not, yeah, but yeah, I agree. There's no reason to expect to see mushroom clouds or anything on the horizon. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, I feel like the mentality that most of our politicians have, and to be honest, that I have as well, is that the U.S. is too far gone when it comes to its national debt, and its financial obligations. It just can't meet them. It has to print money,
yeah,
and trying
right,
to balance the budget is just going to be so unpopular that people don't even want to think about it or bother it.
right,
So they're just like, you know what, full steam ahead. Everybody take as much as you can now while you still
right.
can. We know it's going to collapse. Maybe it
Yeah,
won't
then
collapse
we'll
on
just
our
start.
watch.
Yeah, right. We
So,
hopefully, right. They just kick the can down the road, and yeah, it used to have actually serious discussions of balancing the budget. There were politicians that made fiscal rectitude an important part of their campaigns. I'm the guy who I'm not tax and spend. I'm the guy who's going to keep our fiscal house in order. Now you don't even hear about it because it's so far out of order, and there's just no, like you say, it seems like there's just no way to solve the problem. That the problem gets so huge. Like the elephant in the room is this huge woolly mammoth right now, and
mm,
what can you do? So you just kind of pretend that he's not there.
right. Right. Well, I mean, that's why I'm just not that excited about, our elections. First it's Trump and Biden, and is anybody can anybody do anything, even if they were in power, even if we had a great person? I mean, sometimes you hear talk like, I was excited with Vivek in the beginning because he was kind of talking about, what we need is kind of a revolution and gut through the whole system and restart it, kind of, which is what I think is the only solution at this point. But I don't know if it's will ever be feasible. um, so yeah, we just sit. We don't. I mean, do you think that any politician can make a difference? Does it matter who gets elected? I mean,
It matters, but not very much. I really don't. Well, first of all, there really isn't a whole lot of difference, especially in foreign policy issues, between the two main candidates right now. Um, there are differences, and uh, but they're not. In the end, it seems like nothing much changes. It's that permanent bureaucracy of the deep state that continues to run things. I mean, to make a real change, you have to have really a thoroughgoing revolution. It has to be more than one individual. I think people overestimate the power of a president. You say the president will take, the president does have some power. He can change things. He can slightly change the direction of things. If he's very intelligent, he may, and he's looking at things in the long term. He chooses his battles, and he may succeed like um, restaffing, one particular agency, and putting it on a different course. But there's the rest of the blob, as they call it, the rest of um, the military industrial complex is still there. And I don't think any one president really could defeat it. He could have some limited successes at the edge. And if you had, other presidents who followed or continued to wait, you could eventually achieve a transformation. But I think we just don't have that much time. Um, Yeah, yeah. The thing is, it's not going to be an individual. You need to really have, a real revolution is not carried out by one individual. It's carried out by a party. It's like a large organization, a movement, a large number of people that have already undergone a mental revolution and or envision a different kind of society, understand where the problems are, and you need all those people. You can't, because when that finally you get that, your candidate elected, he needs foot soldiers, right? He needs people to staff these agencies. That's one of the problems. It's like, you get Trump in there or whoever, Vivek, somebody who really does have different ideas, but he doesn't have the foot soldiers. They're just too few. The rest, all these people that are staffing the agencies, the people that are applying for new positions, they still have the establishment way of thinking. And you can get them in there. You can issue your instructions, and they'll do what they can to make sure that they don't really take effect. You
Right.
know?
Well, what I think will happen is if someone like Trump gets elected, which he probably will, and let's say he has someone like Vivek as his vice president, I think what you're going to see is a real power struggle, and it'll be more apparent because people
Yeah.
are watching it now, and we'll see the real battle between the CIA, the deep state, all these etc. Because
Well,
we
we
already
saw that in
see.
the last, yeah, his last
We're
term.
seeing it right now. We're seeing it with the lawfare. We're seeing it just with everything with the media. Um, like when Trump gets elected, it's going to cause a real battle, I think, within the establishment. I think that it's likely that it will cause almost kind of a split and kind of a mini civil war in a sense. Hopefully not actual people on the street shooting each other, but within the government, I think we're going to see it. Maybe it start to split apart and really. I don't think it's going to recover from a Trump election. I don't think it'll recover from a Biden election either.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts? What do you think will happen when Trump gets into office?
Well, it depends on, if he actually chose somebody like Vivek, yeah, I think you would see fairly open conflict. I think they would regard him as a real threat, right? And even though he's the vice president, a vice president doesn't really have a whole lot of power. Just the fact that Trump chose him, and has given him this title, they would just, again, they would regard him as like a cancerous cell within the body politic and do what they could to destroy him. Um, but if he chooses some empty suit, which he may very well do, I think that will lower the temperature somewhat. They'll see, okay, yeah, we contained Trump. Maybe we were a little bit too open about our, we'll use different methods.
You
We'll
you
screw
really
around with
think
our people.
that will tame Trump after everything they've done to Trump for the Russia Gate? Going after him, you get 34
Yeah,
felony counts.
again,
You
I'm
really
more,
think he's going to just
yeah,
roll over?
he might. The thing is, the guy, I guess I am more cynical of Trump than you and a lot of other people. I was so disappointed with him the first time around, by his appointments and his policies. He said some great things during the campaign. He occasionally said some great things while he was president, but he just didn't follow through. He just didn't seem to have the discipline to really carry through with these things. And yeah, he'll probably, just knowing him, he'll carry on some petty vendettas against individuals who crossed him. But I don't think he really has, again, the kind of the intellectual discipline and the general understanding to know how to go after his enemies, understand really who his enemies are, and go after them a, in any sort of meaningful way. I think you'll see a
Well,
lot of,
I think it doesn't even matter if he does. I think just the fact that Trump gets elected will cause sort of an allergic reaction to half
yeah,
the country and to the
right.
deep state that they just kind of, that's what they did the first
Yeah,
time
oh, it's true.
around.
I
And
mean,
that's
it's like
what's caused the
they
problem.
actually didn't, he wasn't really the threat that they imagined. And it's still true. I mean, it's just like, I think that's one of the reasons that Trump gets more credit, I think, actually, than I believe he deserves. It's
For
just that
exposing the deep state. It's just
it's,
because he's just such an asshole that
well, it's just that, yeah, well, it's right because of the reactions to him. You get these people that are hysterical. He's going to destroy NATO and whatever and whatever. Actually, he strengthened NATO, and I think in the end he probably will again. But it's, the just the name Trump. just causes people to go berserk.
Mm,
TDS, Trump derangement um, syndrome is for real. And so
right.
you're right. I mean, it seems like the most damage he does is just by being Trump. He may not, I don't think he has any program to really change things, but just by being Trump and then, issuing these outrageous tweets. Sometimes, actually, the most so-called outrageous tweets are the ones where he just says something that's plainly true, like he just lets it slip, and then everybody goes crazy. You're not supposed to say that. It's just, who knows what they'll do? We saw the craziness of the first term. Who knows how they're going to go after him the next time? It's their, yeah. I mean, Trump just has a way of kind of he will hasten the end of the U.S. empire and the U.S. government, not because he has some sensible program to do it, but just by being Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really interesting to watch Trump derangement syndrome. Like I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends, parents, and it's just funny, and it's ironically it's the kind of the thing that I like about Trump is that
Yeah. Well,
and
sometimes,
that's his appeal to a lot of people. It's like
yeah,
this is it's just that it makes people just go insane. I mean, maybe I
yeah,
shouldn't be happy that it happens, but
yeah.
it exposed the deep state, and that's why I'm
Right.
happy
I think
about
he,
Trump.
right. I
That
think he did a lot of damage, right, exactly to the deep state and uh, to the political elite. Again,
mm,
not because he knew how to attack them. It's just that just by being Trump, they started foaming at the mouth, and then ordinary people are looking up there and like, what the heck is happening? Who are
yeah,
these
right,
people?
right,
And
right.
you never saw it before, but people are noticing things, that they didn't notice before.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it was really crazy because I mean, yeah, I don't know how much things really changed for the average person under Trump. Everybody was saying that this is Hitler, and everyone's like, "Whoa!" I mean, I'm still going to Kroger's buying my gallon of milk, and
Yeah, right.
I read the pro gas is low or whatever. It seems like things are okay. Um, yeah, it's really really interesting. But I think it's going to be really messy after this election. I don't know if the
Yeah.
U.S. doesn't get destroyed by its foreign policy, it'll get destroyed by just sort of the domestic turmoil here
Right. I think
internally.
it'll be, in the end, it'll be destroyed by its domestic turmoil, but the foreign policy decline is going to contribute mightily to that.
Mm. So I should,
That
but
would be
don't
my
move to
guess.
Argentina.
Yeah, things could be even worse in Argentina, to be honest. Just,
Okay, okay.
maybe El Salvador. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Argentina. I don't even know. Milei is kind of a weird guy.
A very weird guy. Yeah.
Like I part of things I used to think like, oh, this guy's great, and then how he's just so pro-Israel and pro-West and anti-China so much kind of
Yeah.
turned
No,
me
he's
off
very
from him.
extreme in that way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, are there any other updates you want to talk about?
No, I
Any
think,
big news?
yeah. Okay, I think the major development again is the official Russian reaction, and we covered that. And
Mm,
yeah, that certainly has ratcheted up tensions. And then I think on the other side too, it's just a failure for the U.S. to do anything to say, like, oh, we regret that this terrible incident occurred. There just wasn't any expression of sympathy. And then, of course, from the Ukrainians, as expected, you have, an advisor, Zelensky, actually saying, yeah, basically those people on the beach were guilty, just
mm,
because they're there in Crimea. That, again, the Russians saw all that, and that just has to, aggravate the situation. Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, I think I need to go buy some prepping stuff. I
Okay.
feel more I talk to you, I think I got to buy some canned goods. I, I don't know. Okay. Well, we'll see Friday. I'm still just waiting for
Okay.
this Israel Lebanon situation. I will have a lot to talk about yeah, watch the Biden Trump debate. I
Okay. I
think it'll be
will.
interesting to see. We can go over that as well. Okay. All right. Then we'll end it here. Thanks a lot, Dad.
All right.